The bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki by Morgan Crozier and Georgia Austin. On April 6, 1945, Little Boy was dropped on Hiroshima, causing a catastrophic explosion, demolishing the city. On August 9, 1945, Fat Man was dropped on Nagasaki, causing a bigger explosion and more damage than Little Boy. These events led to the Prime Minister surrendering entering World War II. The atomic bombs were a tragedy in history because not only did it end the lives of thousands of people, it had a devastating after effect on the survivors, causing many radiation problems and increasing in cancer rates, and the releasing of a dangerous technology that can destroy cities.
What was the Manhattan Project? The Manhattan Project, which is codenamed for an American-led effort to create a functional atomic weapon that was started in response to a rumor. The initial project was started in 1939 by President Roosevelt after reports that the Germans were already working on their nuclear technology. The ORSD, which was the group of scientists that focused on uranium enrichment and nuclear chain reactions with important scientists Enrico Fermi and Leo Szilard, formed the Manhattan District in 1942 after it was morphed into a military initiative when the bombing of Pearl Harbor took place, and they put in charge Colonel Leslie R. Groves. The main sites were in Washington, New Mexico, Illinois, and Tennessee. Canadian government officials were also working on nuclear research in a few places in Canada. Theoretical physicist Robert Oppenheimer, who was working on nuclear fission along with scientists Edward Teller and others, was appointed director of Los Alumnos Laboratory in New Mexico in 1943. This laboratory was where the first atomic bombs were made and tested, known as Project Y. On July 16, 1945, the first atomic bomb was detonated in a desert location in New Mexico known as the Trinity Test. They then made a uranium-based bomb known as Little Boy and a plutonium-based bomb known as Fat Man, made for bringing an end to World War II. On July 26, 1945, the Potsdam Conference was held. The U.S. delivered Japan an ultimatum to surrender under the Potsdam Declaration, saying surrender or face prompt and utter destruction, but the Emperor of Japan did not agree to the terms. For example, one of the terms was that they had to form a peaceful, democratic government. An example of how destructive and powerful the technology they possessed was, they deemed it necessary to drop one of the bombs, and they decided to pick Hiroshima as a target because it was big and it wasn't known for having many American prisoners there. On August 6, 1945, the Enola Gay bomber dropped an untested Little Boy on Hiroshima from 1,000 feet in the air, causing great destruction. 3 days later, because Japan had not yet surrendered, they dropped Fat Boy on Nagasaki, causing much damage to the city.
The Manhattan Project finished off the war because Japan had still not surrendered yet. President Franklin D. Roosevelt authorized the Manhattan Project in 1942. J. Robert Oppenheimer, an important scientist who was known for being the father of the atomic bomb, whose vast intelligence of neutrons helped greatly in the making of the bombs. Hans Bethe was one of the most important scientists, contributing many key aspects in his knowledge for nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Ernest O. Lawrence was the program chief at the Manhattan Project. His job was to research concerning the electromagnetic separation, which was highly important in the atomic bomb. Klaus Fuchs was a spy for the Soviet Union, but he still contributed many good ideas that helped with the atomic bombs. Glenn Seaborg was in charge for producing the plutonium for Fat Man. This was an important aspect because without the plutonium, there would be no Fat Man. Interesting facts about the two cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, during or after they were bombed. When the atomic bomb, Little Boy, detonated 2,000 feet in the air, it let off a blast of heat, bleaching the ground and incinerating anything in its way, leaving behind a shadow-like figure, burning the last moments of their lives into the ground. One of the more famous shadows is a man with a cane standing on the steps of a bank years later when they were rebuilding the bank. They it out of the steps and is now located at Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum. The shadows could last several years or only a few depending on where it was located.
Time froze on April 6, 1945 at 8:15 a.m. when an ordinary wristwatch stopped ticking when Little Boy was dropped on Nagasaki. The watch was found in a young boy's school bag about 0.7 kilometers or 2,296.6 feet from the explosion. The watch is now located in the Museum of Fine Arts, which is located in Houston.
This is a document of the letter that Leo Szilard and Einstein sent to President Roosevelt, prompting him to start the Manhattan Project.
The people who managed to survive the bombing had many health problems, such as radiation poisoning with symptoms of hair loss, purple spots, pain, high fevers, loss of energy, and more often than not, it would result in fatalities. Because people thought that the radiation was contagious, they turned down the hibakusha, meaning atomic bomb affected people, from staying in their homes and helping them to get better. Another dangerous after effect was the dangerous technology that was now released in the world. There have been causes when people were very afraid of atomic war. Even though this event is a tragedy, it is also a triumph in a way because it has given us the power to treat cancer, medical imaging machines such as MRIs, power generators, and much more.